Welcome back to Modern Music Studio with a little beat lesson on Sunflower by Malone. I've been excited to share this with you guys because we got so many comments on the story that we posted on YouTube, but I'm going to do more in-depth analyzation of the EQ on the kick drums and the patterns and everything. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, I'm going to build the pattern here. Then we'll take a look at the EQ. I have all the drums on the side. Put the snare on the 2 and 4, of course. I really like this beat because I use a tambourine on the off beats. Kind of just go ahead and duplicate that through. Command D is a great shortcut for duplicating. Go ahead and get our open hi-hats in here. I used 2 open hi-hats. I used a layer. So here's it soloed with just the first hi-hat. And here's the second hi-hat. So you can kind of hear the difference there, and when they work together, it sounds like this. I just thought it sounded much fuller with the 2 layers. So go ahead and put those in the same place in the beat. All right, we're getting closer. And this beat has a pretty cool little like duplicated hi-hat, which I really like that. If you go to beats, you can make the transient shorter or longer. See how short it was? Around 53 is where I thought it was short enough. It sounded more like the song. Cool. And then the last thing that they had was a bit of percussion. They used a tom kind of fill like that. I like this sound a lot. It's kind of like almost like a conga. Really like that. So all together we got this. So it's a pretty simple pattern, you know. I think what really makes, you know, this all come together is how you process all of the drums. Let's take a look at how we process the kick. In Ableton, you can search for, you know, mixing and mastering audio effects. Those are racks that are found in here. So if you go and search, you know, kick, you'll see like an EQ that they suggest for a kick. They have an auto filter that they suggest. And in this audio effect rack, there's these mixing and mastering options. It's good to kind of hear what the presets sound like and then go in and see what they change compression-wise, EQ-wise. Makes you understand when to use compression or gating or reverb or whatever it is. So I use this channel kick and I mess with these in my own way. And that sounds pretty nice. So this is where I ended up. Let's move on to the snare now. So here's our snare without any processing. And I chose a sample that sounds quite like the song. Malone's song. It's kind of like a, you know, short, but like it's got some dirt on the top of it, like a, you know. But it's got also a meaty kind of tom tone to it. Doom, doom. And that's like around 250 hertz. It's a lower snare. That's where you get your body. That's the meat and potatoes of the snare. Let's hear it with the preset. So this thinned it out a little bit and kind of made it wider. And you can see that I boosted the width on the snapshot, making it come through more as a stereo sound instead of as a mono sound. And that to me sounded more like the song. I thought that the song needed more of a wide, kind of more of a crackier snare, and that's what I used in this preset. So I added dirt, I added crack, and I kind of took away some of the body that was in that original sample to get it to fit underneath a little bit more. So here's the kick and snare together. That sounded pretty good to me. All right, let's move on to the tambourine. Like I said, it was on offbeats. Pretty like basic tambourine sample, but let's see what I did here with the processing. If you put your EQ8 on, I'm just rolling off the highs to kind of like give more space for the vocals and give more space for the hi-hats. But yeah, this is gonna kind of make more of a vibey tambourine that fits better in the mix, but it still gives that groove of the tambourine without it taken away. The next thing I put on there was a delay, and this is gonna kind of do what I did with the snare, making it a little bit more stereo. If you use a slapback delay, this is gonna be a shorter delay. On here, you can choose, you know, quarter notes or triplet, dotted 8th note delay. The shorter delay is gonna be that kind of slapbacky sort of thing. And you can EQ that. It sounds like this. Let's make it really, really intense. Then go back. When you're mixing, you're kind of just like bringing everything down. You're balancing everything in, and you know, using this delay function, this stereo delay, was something that I thought really brought in the tambourine sound like the song. So let's move on to our open hi-hats now. So I just took the same exact EQ that I had on the tambourine and I put it on these open hi-hats, kind of giving those drums the same sort of shelf. Here it is without anything, and here it is with the EQs. See how it made it sound almost further away, giving that lo-fi kind of sort of vibe? Thought that sounded great on the tambourine and the open hi-hats there. So very simple on the open hi-hats, it didn't do much. Let's move on to the hi-hat. Did the same thing, just rolling off the highs. You know, here they are without it, and here it is with it. Just kind of like brings it back down a little bit. Here's all of my cymbals together. Yeah, those sound really good to me. So let's move on to our tom. The tom I thought sounded pretty good by itself. You know, they're pretty good sample by itself. What I did was I got some of the low end out so that it would make room for the sub bass and for the kick drum sub. You know, because tom, when you hit a tom, it's a big, you know, it's a big drum, and there's gonna be some sub in it. So rolling off that sub is gonna help, you know, give you more range in the bass and in the kick for those instruments. And I found the fundamental frequency here at 200 hertz, and I just boosted it a little bit. Here's it without it. So how I usually go about doing this is I run through and try to find a fundamental, and the spectrum analyzer in Ableton is pretty good. You can see where the fundamental is usually, and I usually do a boost of around 12. When I really find it, oh, there it is. I'm going to only boost by 1 to 3 dB. I find it, making it really intense for my ear to find it, at a boost of around 6 to 12. And then once I find that fundamental frequency, bring it back down to, you know, in this case I did 3.6 dB. So let's go ahead and listen to that all together with the processing. And that sounds great to me. Here, I actually, I Command K'd all of the on and off functions so you can hear without the processing. Here's it without the processing. With the processing. It's subtle changes, but it really gives it character. Different vibes, you know, like taming the cymbals, boosting that little tom. Listen to it again. With it, without it. With it. See how much of a vibe that is? It's just so much better with the processing. The last thing I do on drums is send it to a drum room, okay? I do this on my send return. If you go to Ableton, you can, type in drum room and go to the reverb function under your audio effects, and there's a good drum room right there. The one I like to use is from Valhalla Vintage Verb. I like the ambience. It's just kind of like something that's a go-to. So the decay is pretty short here. It's around 0.8 seconds. And that's pretty normal for like an ambience sort of thing. You're just kind of creating a room sound, almost like if you're in a room, right? If you ever go to a warehouse and you do a clap, it lasts forever. It's like when you're in a smaller room, maybe like 12-foot high ceilings, you'll hear that. And each room has a different sound, and that's what that second delay is, okay? It's like telling you how big that room is. And different rooms are gonna have different sounds when it comes to this ambiance, right? So the reflections in this were short. I liked it. Sounded like a nice 12-foot ceiling. That's what you usually use when you do a drum room. I go to all of my drums, I highlight them, and then I can actually move up and down this send return, and that is sending over to my drum room, okay? I'm sending certain things more than other things, okay? Let's hear what it sounds like all the way turned up in the drum room. Oh yeah. So it sounds like it's in a drum room, but it sounds way too wet, right? So certain instruments that you want to hit harder in the bass sub probably don't want to have those in the room. There's no real rules, there's just theories. But the kick and the snare are probably going to sound better less in the drum room. So I did -30 on the kick, -18 on the snare, a little bit more. Tambourine, I did a fair amount. All of these cymbals, I pretty much did the same. If you see, -13, boom, boom, boom. And then the tom I did the most, because I really liked the way the tom sounded in that drum room. See, that's too much, and that's perfect. All together, we have this. All right, and that's how I processed the drums for the Sunflower cover. I hope that helps you kind of like analyze what you're gonna do in your mixing for your songs. And yeah, if you guys want me to do any other videos that you think would be cool, or any other instruments that you think would be cool in certain songs, I have a passion and a love for breaking down, different drums and instruments on pop hits and other styles of music as well. So thanks for tuning into Modern Music Studio, and we'll see you soon. Please like and subscribe. Thanks.